Dudes and dudettes, how are you guys? This is Chazzy and welcome back to The Mixer, the segment on this channel where I give you guys all sorts of detailed analyses from all walks of life. I'll talk about people, places, animals, food, sports, the whole 9 yards, hence why it's called The Mixer. I like to mix things up in this playlist here, And now today I'm going to be talking about something that I actually have never covered on this channel, surprisingly, because it is something that interests me a lot, and it is kind of like a way for you guys to know a little bit more about the personal side of myself, Despite what the thumbnail and title suggests, this is not going to be a versus video. I'm not going to be pitting two things against each other to show which one I prefer better, because when it comes to coffee and tea, I actually drink both of them, I don't have a direct preference, but I'm going to be doing more of like a comparative analysis in this video here, to show you guys the pros and cons of each one. Both do contain, elements of caffeine, especially coffee, so they're both very stimulating to us, but tea has a little bit more variety. You can actually use tea as a way for you to sleep, while coffee is literally, meant to keep you awake, Now, the thing is that I have actually gotten into coffee in recent years, but I actually have kind of like, at least what in my country, Brazil, is considered to be an unpopular opinion, where I don't drink plain coffee, Apparently people here get very offended by that. They think that coffee is supposed to be drunk, just completely pure, without even any sugar or cream or milk or anything, I mean, it's just very weird, I don't really like that opinion. But then again, Brazil is right now it is the largest grower of coffee beans in the world. We actually produce 35% of the world's coffee supply, so maybe it comes from that, but still, nah. The origins of coffee, are actually very varied, because like apparently the place of origin is apparently the Horn of Africa in South Arabia. However, it can be traced way back to the 15th century, in Yemen scriptures, because apparently they had these registers in Sufi shrines, where coffee was actually shown, the beans, or rather the seeds at the time, were actually shown being roasted and brewed with the same way that we do today. So, it seems like the origin of it was way back in the day, and it started to be exported more and more, around the world, because by the 16th century, coffee had already reached the Middle East and North Africa, later spreading more and more to Europe. And then in the 20th century, it really did become a global commodity, I think pretty much everybody, drinks coffee in every culture, because it's cultivated in over 70 countries around the world. So it is actually right now it is the most popular hot drink in the world, and I just think everybody, likes it a lot. But the thing is that coffee for me represents much more than just a hot drink that I can brew, It's kind of like a relaxation technique for me, I've always enjoyed having a nice little cup of coffee here in my house around maybe like the early evening or so, but I never drink it plainly. I always add milk into it, That's how I've always drank my coffee. Maybe it comes from the time that I lived in America and I grew up there, and it's like, it seems at least where I lived, coffee was much more cultivated, when it was mixed with milk or cream, a lot of which was consumed at Starbucks, so maybe that's why when I came to Brazil, I never lost that habit of adding the milk to it, I add a little bit of sugar as well, because it's used to enhance the taste, because coffee by itself is very bitter, it does have acidic properties, so to me at least it doesn't taste very good. It kind of tastes a little bit like dirt, so I'm not a really big fan of that, That's why I like mixing milk and sugar, and I'm not exactly addicted to coffee. I wouldn't say that there's an actual addiction there, but I do like it a lot, Like sometimes I try to limit myself to just 1 cup, because I drink it with milk, so it's not as strong as if it was without it, but I do drink 2 mugs a day sometimes, and they're pretty big mugs, so sometimes I have difficulty sleeping. I have a very weak immune system, so it's very frustrating sometimes when I'm trying to limit myself to just, 1 cup, sometimes in the morning to perk up a little bit, or maybe in the early evening just to, perk up a little bit, to relax and do something, Sometimes I'll drink just 1 cup in the morning, and maybe I'll make some chocolate milk in the evening, or vice versa, It really depends. But I can go for a day or two without having any coffee at all, so that's why I know that I'm not addicted, it hasn't been gotten that bad yet, but I do enjoy it, it's sort of like symbolic to me. When I was living with my parents for many years, my dad always made a cup of coffee for all of us around 5 or 6 p.m., like climbing towards the early evening. We would always drink it, with milk, so, well, he drinks it plainly, but the point is that, it was kind of like the only time that me and my folks came together, to do something together, which was drink some coffee. So after I went to live by myself, I maintained that, you know. Sometimes I make a cup in the morning, or, you know, like in the early evening. I still do that today. I did it like now, like in the morning. I'm recording this video in the afternoon, but today in the morning I made some coffee, you know, and I don't know, it just feels good. I'm going to be getting into more details about this, you know, but before that I'm going to do something cool here. I'm going to show you guys now some random stock photos of coffee beans and coffee mugs and coffee itself, because, well, that's the idea that I have for right now. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, we have tea. Now, tea is much more varied than coffee, you know. There are many different varieties of tea, you know, where coffee has kind of like a much more limited supply, you know. Now, remember when I said that coffee was the most popular hot drink in the world? Well, tea is literally the most consumed drink in the world after water. I'm serious. After literally plain freaking water, tea is the most consumed liquid on the damn planet, you know. It is very popular, and as you guys can imagine, it's supposed to have the opposite effect of coffee, you know. It kind of, depending on the kind of tea that you drink, it's actually going to relax and put you to sleep, you know. Now, the origins are a little bit, you know, finicky, but it has said to be originated from southwestern China and northern Myanmar, you know, and we do know that it comes from China, but the time frame is a little out of whack, because some sources say it originated as early as 59 BC or probably even earlier, and others, you know, put it back to the 3rd century AD, but we do know that it comes from China in some capacity. It became popular as a recreational drink in the Tang Dynasty before spreading to other East Asian countries. Then in the 16th century, Portuguese priests brought it over to Europe, you know. Then in the 17th century, it was popularized by the English, who drank it on a large scale in British India. So to this day, I do believe the English, you know, Europeans in general prefer tea over coffee, you know, in Asia as well. But tea is much more varied because you can make it through a variety of different things, you know. You can make it with fruits or leaves or natural herbs, you know, which produce different kinds of flavors. Tea is much more flavorful than coffee, you know, because it can be a little bit astringent or bitter, but it can also be sweet and, you know, like kind of like grassy and nutty, you know. So tea is much more varied, and there are different ones that actually can contain just as much caffeine as coffee, so they'll just keep you awake, you know. I usually drink tea when I want to relax, like after a long day of work, you know. Sometimes, very rarely, I make chamomile tea, which is the most popular one, because it is literally the tea made to help you go to sleep, you know. I actually got the habit from my mom, who makes a lot of it herself, and she wants to relax, you know. So sometimes I drink it when I go for too many days, you know, not sleeping properly because of insomnia, or just because I actually like the taste of it. There are people who drink tea, you know, like they put a little piece of lemon in it to give it a little bit of flavor, or they add cream or milk just like coffee, or they just drink it plainly. When it comes to tea, I don't like adding milk. I will admit this. The only time I ever add milk is when I make very little tea and I just want the milk to kind of fill up the canister a little bit, you know. Fill up the canister. What is this, Star Wars? Fill up a little bit of the mug because there wasn't enough tea, you know. But I normally drink tea largely plainly, but I do add sugar. I like to give it a little bit of a sweet taste, you know. The tea that I have is called Mate Leão here in Brazil, you know. It's a very strong tea, but unfortunately it has just as much caffeine as coffee. It is processed, you know, so, but sometimes I will go to my mom's house where she picks some herbs from her backyard, you know, not the backyard, the front yard, you know, and she'll use the plants to actually make tea, you know, actual herbal chamomile tea, which I will bring back to my house, you know. Sometimes I'll get the leaves in a you know, how can I say, is it cooking or roasting? I don't know the process, you know, but I don't know, maybe I'll infuse them, you know. It kind of looks like long lean green tea, you know, so I will put that in a pan and like cook it up, so I'll actually produce chamomile tea, which obviously tastes much better, you know. But I actually consume both in my house. I have different tints for coffee and tea here, you know. I do consume both, but I consider tea to be much more relaxing, and it does taste better sometimes because I do make it completely by itself, you know. I have the habit sometimes of substituting one for the other. Like I'll drink a cup of coffee in the morning to wake up, and then later some tea in the evening to kind of relax and almost kind of like drift off to sleep a little bit more towards the night, you know. So, but very rarely do I do this. Like usually if I have a cup of coffee a day, I don't drink tea the same day, or if I plan on drinking tea at night, I don't drink coffee in the morning, you know. I usually just substitute with chocolate milk like Nesquik or something. So, but in general, tea is very, very cultivated. It is very popular, you know, and it's actually weird how it has spread so much, because it does date from even older back than coffee, you know, but still, man, you know, a lot of herbal infusions can be made to make tea taste a lot better, you know, so it's freaking awesome. And herbal tea, I do consider to be the best because it's the healthiest and also tastes the best, you know. And before I continue and do kind of like and drop a more comparative analysis of both of these things, I'm going to show you guys some photos now of tea in general. You know, tea leaves, tea herbs, tea pots and cups, and tea liquid or whatever. Blah, blah, blah. So, all in all, where do we stand here? Climbing now towards the end of the video, where exactly do I stand, you know, on this debate whether coffee is better than tea? The answer is that, well, there is no answer, because like I said, I consume both of them and I don't have a direct preference, you know, between either. But I understand that there are some of you that lie on the spectrum, like how can I say this? There are some of you that lie on either spectrum, you know, there are some of you that prefer just coffee and others prefer just tea. I think that in general, although it's not proper to generalize this, but it does come from a stereotype, you know. I think that Americans in general, in the region of the Americas, North America, South America, Central America, everybody here prefers coffee, whereas, you know, Europe and Asia and parts of Africa, they might prefer tea, you know. I don't really know too much about Africa, but because, like, I don't know, it seems to have, maybe coffee is better produced there, but Africa has a very large population, they might prefer coffee. But in my head, it's like Africa is a very hot region, you know, so I don't know, coffee over there might not be as large a commodity as tea, because coffee is usually drank hot, you know, drunken hot. I don't know how to say that verb, but tea can be served either hot or cold, so maybe that's kind of like where the spectrum lies. I don't really know, but like, the coffee is a little controversial, you know, because despite generating billions of dollars around the world, you know, the coffee industry is still controversial, because the farmers who, you know, well, farm the coffee beans, you know, and the seeds and plant them, they usually live in poverty, you know. And also it has been criticized for many years because of, you know, the negative impact on the environment, you know, that the coffee industry has, and also, you know, things like the clearing of land for coffee growing, you know, and water use. But still, that's all water under the bridge for me, because I like coffee, you know. Now, there is a debate on where the best coffee in the world comes from. I do believe it's largely said that Colombia produces the best coffee, you know. Brazil is the largest grower, but Colombia apparently has the best coffee beans. I've never actually tried them, you know. I did have Colombian food before, but never coffee. So, and green unroasted coffee is apparently, you know, considered and traded as an agricultural commodity. I've never tried that one, you know. So, like, it's very strange, you know, because usually you love one or the other, which is why I wanted to record this video here, you know. I think it's an opportunity for me to get to know you guys a little bit more. So, me, I don't have a preference. I like both. Like I've already said throughout the video, I usually use one to wake up and the other to go to sleep, you know. Rarely on the same day, because that's too much caffeine intake for me, you know. But on my vacation, I actually consumed a lot of coffee, man. It was a cup in the morning, in the afternoon. I admit that I kind of went a little overboard with the coffee consumption, you know, in my vacation, but I'm trying to, you know, consume it less now, going back to work. But I really want to hear from you guys. I truly, genuinely do. I sincerely hope you will give me your opinion in the comments below, because I really want to know if you guys prefer coffee or tea. I'm really curious. Or if you're like me, you consume both of them on different occasions, you know. Let me know what your favorite kind of coffee is, or tea, you know. There are different kinds of coffee as well, whether you like Americano, espresso, cappuccino, you know, whatever the hell. Like, I actually don't think that I mention too many kinds of coffee, you know, but there's different kinds of what there's I don't know, French press, cafe latte, there's also canned coffee, whatever. Let me know what you prefer and the kind of tea that you prefer, you know. I really want us to start a little debate in the comment section. That's gonna be cool. And thank you for sticking around. This video was a little troublesome to make, you know, freaking behind the scenes. There's like a few things going on around here, but I managed to get it done. Now I'm hot and sweaty and hungry. I still have to cook lunch, and it's freaking like 20 to 2 p.m. And that's it, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this video, and if you happen to like it, please go ahead and give it a like, and also subscribe to my channel, because I release videos every single day. And while you're at it, do of course hit the notification bell too, so you can know exactly what time I upload. And it's all good. Maybe later I'll have some more coffee. Probably not, because I already had some in the morning. But anyway, guys, that's it. This is Chazzy signing out for now, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Roll the outro screen.